we've got this continuation of salad leaves and lettuce growing. And even though it is getting cooler and it's autumn, and before you know it, we'll be into winter, doesn't mean that you still can't grow your salads and your lettuces, because they're very cold hardy to start with, providing you get the right variety. And we've been growing some lettuce plants in these tiny little tubs, because that's the way we always do it through here. And although they're really small, they're still big enough to prick out and move on, before all the roots start to get tangled up, because then it's going to make it more difficult to separate each plant and you'll risk damaging them that bit more. So we've got at the moment a big container with 3 small little gem lettuces growing in, which is then surrounded by mixed leaf lettuce. We've got 3 lettuces in a big container right outside kitchen door, just for convenience. So every time we make a meal and we want a little bit of side salad, which is more often than not, we only have to open the door, pick off a few leaves and then leave rest to grow on. But while we're doing that, we also need to remember that if we just keep harvesting plants, eventually they're going to run out. And because things grow that bit slower at this time of year, we need to make sure we've got some good sized replacement plants. Otherwise we'll end up with a few weeks without any. And I'm not going to the supermarket to buy salad leaves. So that's the reason why we keep a couple of containers growing, while at the same time moving on tiny little seedlings into bigger areas to grow. So we're going to take some of these tiny little seedlings out very carefully and move them on. So we're going to move 6 plants on altogether out of that tub, and then any that's left can just stay in there to continue growing, because we are then allowing them a little bit more root space. And I'm using these containers today. So as I said, I only need 6 plants. But these have got bigger cells than the ones I normally use. So we can keep the lettuce inside here growing probably until it's 4 to 5 inches tall before we have to move it on. And then the other good thing about these containers is the see-through. So at the same time as watching these plants grow, we can keep an eye out on the root system to make sure they never get root bound. But before anything, we need to get some compost in here. And while I'm sorting this compost out, I just want to say thank you to Kevin Jarman, who has once again made a donation to this channel, which is very generous of you, and obviously we'll be using that money to replace things like seeds and compost. So thank you once again for your generosity, Kevin. So as I always do, I fill these packs up and then I compress the soil back down again, so that once we take these out as individual plants, it'll come out as a nice compact plug, which we can then just make an hole to accommodate that, pop it straight in. And as always, when we're transplanting very small seedlings, we always moisten the compost, because that makes it easier to get the seedling in. As I always do, I'll bring that camera in really close, and then you can see how tiny these seedlings are that we're transplanting. And as I mentioned before, if you're doing winter salads, make sure you get the right variety. And this one is called All Year Round, so we know it's also a cold hardy lettuce. But you can also use things like lamb's lettuce. So first off, you can see how tiny these plants are. I mean, they're barely starting to get the first true leaf, but we can still move them at that size. And the key to doing that is being very careful. So these two, very close together. So if we dig in and just ease that up, they should come out together. Like that. And then we can just separate them, shake off that compost, And we've got two perfectly good little lettuce seedlings, and you can just see it's trying to get its first true leaf. So that's two, and I'll set them to one side for the moment. And obviously we're looking for the biggest ones. There's not a lot of difference, to be fair, between these plants, so we'll just take what we can easily get. And as long as we've got at least that much root, we'll be fine. So that's 4. And once you get used to doing this, it's quite a quick process. But as I said, ideally you need to be getting the ones that's starting to get the first true leaf, if you can see that. And now we only need one more. And I think we'll just take that one there. And that's got an even better root system. So we've got a 6, and now we can just ferment it back down into this tray that we might have disturbed and let them carry on growing, because there's plenty more to come out of this tub yet. And then we just need to transplant them, which is pretty simple. Centre of that cell, nice deep hole, because we're burying these right down to those first leaves that came out. And whenever you do transplant lettuce, bury it as deep as you can. Bury it right down to there. So we'll just ease it into that hole and then pinch the soil back around it. So we've just got those 2 leaves and then the start of this true leaf poking out at soil. There's virtually no stem remaining. And that's going to make that plant grow really strong, upright, and not try and fall to one side as it grows. And that's key to growing pretty much any plant when you're transplanting seedlings, especially things like your brassicas. So again, firming around that base, and we're just pushing the soil down as well so that these leaves aren't sat on it, and we've got a very stable plant there. And we'll just carry on. Right down, firm around that plant, and then push that compost down away from those leaves. So you're not going to get any leaf rot on your plant before you've even started. We're that quick and that easy, and we've transplanted ourselves 6 brand new lettuce plants. And as I said earlier, these will grow in these containers for quite a long time because of the amount of compost that these cells hold, and the fact that lettuces are quite shallow rooted plants, so they've got months if needed to stay in here, and plenty of space for those new roots. And unlike the other lettuces that I've grown, which are the little gems, they grow upright like a romaine lettuce. These are hearting lettuce, so we're going to get a nice ball of lettuce like an iceberg from these plants. And then at the same time we've got the upright ones which we can pick leaves off as we need, and then we've got the other leaf lettuce, which is mixed salad leaves. So we've got a good variety of things to make up salads through autumn and winter, but also we can grow the beetroots for their leaves. We've got mustard that we're growing as well. And of course, indoors, we've got the microgreens that we've just started. So we're going to have a really good mixture of nutritional salad leaves to pop on side of a beef burger or a stir-fry meal. So even though some people don't want to eat salad through autumn and winter, there's nothing wrong with getting a little portion of highly nutritious plants that you've grown yourself to make that meal that little bit healthier and tastier. So we'll just pop these to one side and then we'll have a look round and see what else that there is to do today before it starts to get dark. If you'd like to see how all these plants work out over the next few months and what else we're going to be doing quite shortly in the microgreen room, then please hit that subscribe button, press that notifications bell, and we'll see you then. Take care.